Okay, welcome to the March webinar for Griffiths de Kock Racing. My name is Corey. For those of you who don't know me, we've got some special guests with us. Once again, Matthew de Kock. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, Corey. Hey, everybody. Nice to be here again.
We've got the big boss, Robbie, who's fixed up his lighting and looking pretty sharp there. So welcome, Robbie.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you.
And our newest guest to the panel is Mr. Joey Ramsden. Welcome, Joey.
Hi, good evening, Corey.
So what we'll do, Joey, is we'll start with yourself. Pretty impressive CV, 29 Group 1 winners, 108 listed winners from, I may be wrong, but that's what the internet was telling me when I did my searching. But what I might get you to do is give us a bit of a background on your own upbringing, what started you in horse racing, and then how you obviously first became a trainer, and then where that took you.
Well, I was a pony clubber, and then I always thought I wanted to do something with horses, and my parents didn't think I was capable of it. They're probably right in the end, so I've left school way too early. It's much easier freeloading off your parents, as you probably well know, Corey. I know Matthew certainly knows anyway. I then went to America for a year to work on one of Robert Sankster's farms, and then Brian Mayfield Smith in Sydney. And that was a lot of fun for 9 months, the master of Nebo Lodge. And then I went out to South Africa, where life was good and people were very good to me. And I was lucky enough to have lots of good fortune.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you did come to Australia, and Robbie, I might come to you for that part, because I think Joey does sell himself short a little bit in that department. But if you might touch on the fact that, firstly, our international triangle that we've created at the stable, which Joey fits into, but also a little bit of a background from your perspective on Joey and just how classy he was as a trainer.
Yeah, I think Joey's selling himself very short there, but I think for us, we've been very fortunate this year to have Joey on board at the yearling sales, and it's certainly, yeah, I mean, you know, to train 29 Group 1 winners, we know how hard it is to be successful at any black type level, but to win that amount of Group 1 races is an absolute unbelievable an achievement, and to start where he did in the UK, and then to travel with Mayfield Smith, and he knocked, you know, Tommy Smith off his 33 successive titles in New South Wales, and he was a champion trainer. And then to travel to South Africa and train that amount of Group 1 winners is an unbelievable achievement. And for us to have him work alongside Matt and I at the yearling sales with Peter Ford, and it really complements our international flavour now, and we're trying to develop that international triangle of having the stables in Dubai and the UK at Newmarket. So once these young horses develop, we'll be able to take full advantage of that international triangle that we've been talking about. So that's an unbelievable thing that we've developed here, and it's the only, I think we're the only stable in Australia that can offer that to our owners. So it's certainly unique. Joey's going to help us along the way, so it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think Joey has been helping, and I guess, Joey, that's another question for you, is how has that come about? And obviously, it's pretty obvious that the South African connection with Matthew, but how did it come about, you doing a little bit of work at the sales as part of the Bloodstock team with Griffiths de Kock?
Well, number one, it came from probably Robbie and Mrs. Griffiths' extreme generosity in inviting me along, and then having known Matthew as well since he was a little fellow in diapers. So that was how it all came about, and it's just extremely exciting to be involved with someone with such a broad vision of the game.
Yeah,
and a team with such broad vision.
And I guess in terms of training in Australia, do you hold ambitions to get back in the game, or is it something that you're quite comfortable after your success in South Africa and stepping away? You're quite comfortable with where you are and helping out here and there, or, you know, what's the vision for you going forward?
Well, I think wherever you go, you know, it's extremely competitive to train winners, but coming here and seeing how Matthew and Robbie work, all of you work, how hard it is, and the professionalism. It looks extremely hard to get involved at that sort of level, and particularly at my stage in life, to sort of start again. So I find it far more exciting to be able to offer some sort of form of help, hindrance, whatever you want to call it, to someone else, and hopefully I can get a bit more involved with Robbie and Matt and Peter Ford.
And you mentioned off air that probably one of your biggest achievements was when you got to knock off Matt's father a few times for some Group 1s, and you were quite chuffed and jovial having a chat off air about that. But that's no mean feat. He's obviously one of the world's best trainers, and you managed to beat him a few times, and also you were head to head a few times and locked horns. How did that rivalry become friendship?
or it could go the other way at times. Don't worry about that. But I didn't totally knock him off. He's still alive and going and smiling away there in Johannesburg. But Mike and I were assistants together in barns next door to each other at Turfentine. Long before mobile telephones and anything else, we used to be regulars down at Gold Reef City at a pub called Rosie O'Grady's. And we're often left bleary-eyed at 5 a.m. going to work. But and that was where I was lucky enough to meet Mike, or Mike was lucky enough to meet me, one way or the other. And we had a great friendship and rivalry from there on in. But Mike started off training before me, and so he got a bit of a head start on me. And sadly, I think he's got an unassailable lead on me now. But we're always trying.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, from my own perspective, your knowledge has been just like the guys, being able to spend time at the sales with somebody with your knowledge has been just invaluable to myself. And I know other people around you at the Inglis Premier sale, you're at the marquee quite often, and our owners and our clients got to chat to you and share some of your story, which was incredible. But I might pass to Matt, who's probably known you the longest. And Matt, we had a bit of a giggle as you were coming up with some questions earlier for Joey, but what are your memories growing up of Joey? And if you can now ask a few questions yourself to the great man.
Yeah, well, just to kind of reiterate what Joey was saying, I've had a long relationship with him, and he has known me since I was in diapers. I'm sure they were pretty smelly diapers. He's done a fair bit of babysitting as well. I remember staying at his house on trips to Cape Town, where we would raid down with some horses. So Joey's yard was like a brother yard to us. We were in Johannesburg, and it would be like sending a horse from Victoria to New South Wales and having a brother stable in New South Wales. And Joey was always so accommodating, and we had most of our success in Cape Town raiding through Joey's yard. And even at times when my old man started in the early 2000s, when I was too young to be in the yard, he started his traveling overseas. He left horses with Joey. I can remember horses like Badger's Coast that won the JMB Met, which is probably in our top 3 races in South Africa. And a lot of that attributed to Joey and his staff looking after the horse. And yeah, it was just always great to be in his yard and under his team's guidance and working together with his team. And he did the same with us. He would send horses up to Johannesburg, and we'd look after his horses and have good success as well. So it was a fantastic relationship right to the end of Joey's stellar career. And every time that I went to Cape Town when I started my professional career, and we had horses in his yard, every single season that we raided down there, I managed to learn something of Joey, which is a great compliment to the horseman that he is. Whether it was just things like looking at the horse with your eye, and as they jump off the float, Joey will be able to look at the horse and say, that horse has traveled well, that one hasn't traveled well, and just picking up things in the track in the morning. It was really nice to spend time with Joey in his yard. And like I said, every single time we raided down there, I learned a heap. Joey's had a lot of success, as you know and have heard. Probably one of the ones I'd like to bring up is that horse that he bought here in Australia called the Conglomerate. He's a Lonhro horse. He's by Lonhro, sorry. And he won our most famous race, the Durban July. So Joey's been here, he's shopped around, and he's proven that he can buy a really top athlete, which is one of the key reasons that we wanted him on board, is that he knows the market very well. And then he's had international success, Variety Club. probably one of the best horses ever to leave South Africa. And Joey won many Group 1s with him in South Africa, and then he went on to win in Dubai. He won on World Cup night, and then he went on to win a Group 1 in Hong Kong. So Joey's not unfamiliar with fantastic performances. You want to jump in there, Joey? I don't know if you want to say anything about Variety Club. And well, what do you think? Where would Variety Club? Where would he stand in a Australian Group 1 mile, Joey?
I think I'm totally honest. I wouldn't know enough about it, and I'm sort of beginning to feel my way. Not with horses and conformation and what I like and don't like in yearlings, but certainly with the racing. But I'd have to think he'd be fairly competitive. Just seeing what's out there at the moment, I know he was very good of generation in his year, and but he was a very, very good horse. But I don't think he was probably quite as good as I think you're being very kind in that he probably wasn't quite as good as the great horse Chestnut, which you and your dad trained. And that's not to say take anything away from Variety Club. You know, his performance in the Hong Kong Mile after he left me to go to you was pretty special.
Yeah, so Joe's been lucky. He's had a lot of good horses. Some to mention also Red Ray, Just Sensual, and Mother Russia. I had a couple of questions for Joey. Well, obviously, Joey, Variety Club would probably be your best horse. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think he probably was. Yeah, I had a very soft spot for Red Ray. He put up some remarkable work, and while he was always very professionally ridden by great Anton Marcus, like all trainers, it was frustrating, and I'd love to have seen him ridden just a little bit quieter, and I think we maybe have seen a slightly better one. But so I have a very soft spot for Red Ray.
Okay, and what's your best days racing as a trainer?
Well, as I said, I'm going to repeat the joke. Any day I beat you and your father was a very good day, because then I knew I was doing something right.
Okay. And is it true that you were a drummer in a boy band?
You mustn't believe everything you hear or read, Matthew. But I was very good with the sticks.
Do you start every day with a cup of tea?
I do start every day with a cup of tea, and if I remember right, you used to be my tea bitch. But as I'm sure you probably then could tell me, I used to be your father's tea bitch as well. So the line, the symbiosis of this relationship goes back quite a long way of making tea. But I do love a cup of tea in the morning, and I still do. Sometimes, sadly, these days, I have to make my own, as I've lost my loyal tea maker, Avo, and you, as my travelling head tea foreman.
And I hear these days that now you've referred to having snacks at bedtime with Ruby.
Well, yeah, we were very lucky enough to go on a grand tour up the east coast of Australia in our RV, and we was very fortunate. At the end of the bed was the fridge, so my long tentacle-like arms didn't have to go too far to reach inside the fridge to walk down a snack. And sadly, that habit has continued. But as I don't live in a grand mansion, I don't have to wander too far to the fridge these days to reach my snack, but I'm trying to restrict it to apples like an elephant. And
last one is it true that the satchel that you wore when you arrived to Johannesburg in 1980 or whatever, you still hold on to that satchel? You're still traveling with that one?
Yeah, I do, and it's still full of rare cassettes of Belinda Carlisle, Depeche Mode, and Duran Duran that I still enjoy, and that the satchel is still good and strong and going strong, and I never leave home without it. Neither should you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Thank you for that.
And we're just
pleasure. Thank you.
Fantastic, Matt. I think you've got the job as the interviewer. But just to finally wrap up there, Joey, moving to Australia is a big move, and some people may wonder why, but your lovely partner also lives here, which is why you're in Australia. And she's also quite the horsewoman herself and is a great part of the team. If you wanted to just touch on Haywood Bloodstock and give that a plug for us.
Yeah, well, she did. Well, we all need a plug, but she's got a very, very good eye for a horse. She was with Inglis for many years in their bloodstock department, and I think between the pair of us, we quite know what we both like these days. But she's very, very sharp on pedigrees, very sharp on pedigrees, and that for me, being in Australia, is an invaluable asset. You know, I like to look at the individual first, see what we got, see them walk and everything else, and then it's great to be able to ask someone about the pedigrees, and then know a little bit about history, about the background of the sires and dams and everything else, which she's very, very hot on. Apart from the looks, also very hot on that, and is able to inform me and help me along and make some sort of decision and sort of or diagnosis.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Steph, she's also got an amazing network. So for me, in my role in sales, pretty much I can ask Steph, okay, who's that person? And she'll know within 2 seconds, or she'll have somebody she can ask and get me an answer within 2 seconds. So she's been invaluable. And Robbie, I guess to wrap up, obviously Peter's the only one that we haven't mentioned, but what a team you've assembled for this sales season.
Yeah, exactly, Corey. And I think that the way to have a successful development of any business, and racing is going exactly that way with the 7-day model. And it's a well-known fact that the great Colin Hayes always said, the future belongs to those that plan for it. And we're planning for that with all the great people that we have around us, is to have all the key people in place. And we've spoken about that. Peter Ford is outstanding. He's got a great knowledge of pedigrees and horsemanship, and Joey sells himself short, but we can see how he's bought so many wonderful horses, and in Australia too with Lonrose, and we bought a beautiful Lonro filly which Joey loved. You know, we've got a great eye ourselves, Matthew and I, but we don't get ahead of ourselves. We double check it with Joey and Peter. You've spoken about Steph, you know, so we're double checking one another, yet there's been so much success, historic success, you know. So we're giving our owners the absolute best of the best by having a team, you know, and there's no more you can do than to do that, you know.
And I've just launched a poll there, so it's just on Joey. So what impresses you most about Joey? And our audience can answer that. So the options are his eye for a horse, his group winning record, his beaming personality, his down-to-earth nature, or of course being in a boy band, which has probably got my vote. And also the question and answers there, guys. You're all...
I think you could have had that. I could have had his ability to freeload. Robbie will know more about that.
So we've got some questions already coming through, but we will give a prize for the best question. This is more of a comment than a question, but somebody said one of Joey's owners won the Arc once. Is that true, Joey?
Yeah, it is true. Yeah. So William Pickett Brown, he was also a champion amateur jockey in the days when I suppose men were men and cheap were afraid. And that was a great achievement, but he did own an Arc winner trained by Barry Hills. And my memory's not quite as good as it used to be, but I should be. He didn't turn out to be a great star, but what an achievement to win an Arc. He sadly passed away in the middle of last year. But a real total character. You know, he was mates, believe it or not, with Jimi Hendrix, you know, Paul McCartney, and that through the swinging 60s in London, Carnaby Street, the scene. And he was an absolute total and utter character. But to imagine, you know, he actually also owned the stud farm where Sheikh Hamdan now has his base there in Newbury, which Matthew knows about. Kingswood, is it? I think anyway, that there in the stables. But to own an Arc winner, it's something pretty special.
Yeah, and we will move on to the Inglis Premier. So, Robbie, as you can see up in the top left, the So You Think colt out of Explosive Cross, and down the bottom there, the Pariah colt out of We Betcha. I chose those two as they were our top two lots for price, but I guess I'll just quickly go through a bit of a summary. We were the top buyers by trade. We were the third top buyer by trade, which is pretty impressive when you think of the buying power of a lot of the Australian market, and considering how much people were paying for stock this year in 2021 at all the sales. I thought we got some incredible value, considering we were the top buyers by trade, third top buyer by trade. We're also the second number of lots purchased in total behind Kieran Maher's stable, which is, I mean, we're competing with the top stables, no doubt, at the yearling sales, but we're also paying a lot less. So I've written in there price averages explained versus quality of stock. I was looking at our prices, And we actually purchased, our average cost was actually $1,000 more than the average cost of the actual sale overall. But if you look at the lots that we purchased, we got a lot of our lots for below the average of that sire. So we actually purchased some horses, for example, the So You Think colt there, which was 260,000, but we got those horses for incredible value, even though we were, pushing our own budget. And I guess you must be ecstatic with what you've come home with.
Yeah, Matt and I are absolutely ecstatic because not just that we're delighted with the horses we've brought home, we followed a lot of these horses from the farms, which we'll probably elaborate more on later, but the So You Think, we loved at the farm, the same as the same farm from Daily Bugle that won on Saturday, that's heading towards Group 1 racing in Sydney. And that So You Think up the top left there is exactly that, come off the same farm. He's got all the right nicks and crosses, the pedigree, champion sire, great DNA mixture that Tarkula do, great genetic cross that Peter Ford and Steph and everyone looks at. So basically there's very little left for chance because he ticks all the confirmation crosses and he's got a proven pedigree. So, really when you do that, there's all he's got to do now is run fast and he's out of a Group 1 family. So there's really nothing left to chance there.
And Matt, I guess a lot of people probably take it for granted, but it's been spoken about a little bit. I guess when we've been chatting, that when you first got here, you're in lockdown so much. So it was really the Inglis Premier was for you a chance to meet the owners for the first time for a lot of them. And obviously we had the marquee there, which was busy the entire time. What was the experience of the Inglis Premier for you, getting to actually meet the owners that, you obviously knew them by name, but not by face, and now you've met them?
Yeah, Corey, it was fantastic. You've stolen all the thunder. But I think the marquee was in pole position. That's testament to you guys and one of your ideas for that. So that was really great that I could work, come back to the marquee, mingle with everyone, meet everyone, and then go back to work again, and it was not too far away from the ring, not too far away from the stables. So everyone was able to view the horses, watch the ring on the screen, run up to the ring, run back. So we were in perfect position there, and I think everyone enjoyed their time there on Sunday and Monday especially. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on, obviously, Mick Sharkey from Leneva Park and James Price from Woodside Park Stud and soon to be Inglis came and did some guest speaking, which was fantastic. And obviously Joey as well, who's with us now, was there almost the entire time to mingle with guests and speak to them. So thanks to all of those guys. But the next question there is, did we get value? So let's go take a look. I'll just bring up the Inglis page here. And as we can see, Griffiths de Kock Racing, Peter Ford, Thoroughbreds and Haywood Bloodstock purchased a lot of horses. So I guess we can't go through all of them individually, Robbie, but we might just summarize a few here. So obviously the So You Think colt out of Elas has a relation to a horse that you already have at the stable.
Yeah, he's a half to Piemonte, who's a Jewel City winner, lightly raced, that unfortunately had leg problems and retired early, but he's a really good quality colt.
Yeah, the Russian Revolution out of Magna Gem, which is the half sister to Flower Duet, that's already in the stable. Yeah,
we trained Magna Gem, who was very talented, and we liked the Russian Revolutions. Matt and I really punted a lot of the youth, a lot of the young stands, in particular Russian Revolution and Pariah.
Yep, and I will flick through these ones fairly quickly because Magnus, the Magnus filly out of Medicean Star, was sold in about 5 minutes. We actually had a guy come to the marquee and bought half of that horse with a check, old school style. So that was quite entertaining on the day. But I guess if you want to touch on that one and the Maurice colt, which is also sold.
Yeah, well, I mean, Magnus has need no introduction to the stable because we've won 25 or 25, and the Maurice was at a Merlin de Lago where we had Burnstone that won 1 for 1 in the Blue Diamond Prelude by 5 lengths. So outstanding colt that, you know, Merlin Delago, the boys know a lot about her because she raced in South Africa. So he was a must buy.
Now we might actually go and touch on a few of these in the middle a bit more in depth, but we'll just go. Matt, obviously you bought the Epaulet colt for some clients back home. So there's South African pedigree there.
Yeah, well, it's his page is full of Hamdam horses, many of which we've had the pleasure of training in South Africa. And epaulets, we have probably had the best epaulet. Sukrat in South Africa, multiple Group 1 horse. So he reminded me a lot of Sukrat. He's a small, sturdy horse, and his half sister ran third in the Flemington listed race on the Saturday before. So a lot of value there for 25,000.
Yeah, and we just sold the last piece of the Bella Spree colt out of a Magnus Mare Vogalago, whose half brother on Friday actually won a trial and looks pretty impressive. So, you know, we're absolutely chuffed to get that for 13,000 is actually ridiculous. We've stolen him, and then
we have to give that one. We have to give that one down to the boss, don't we? Boss Robbie. He was very, very sharp there.
Yeah, straight onto it. He doesn't miss a beat. He moves very quickly at the sales, actually. So what we'll touch on now is we wanted to have a bit of a cross section. So, Robbie, what we'll do is we'll look at is obviously the one that you basically said before we went to the sale on the first day, that you're not leaving without this horse. Like you said, Daily Bugle. One on the weekend comes from the same stud. There's a few of the Daily Bugle owners that are on tonight that are also in this colt already. So if you wanted to sort of explain, you know, a little bit about this horse.
Yep, definitely. Well, when you see him walk around on the video here. Okay, here we go. This is Takula stud, of course, that Matt and I we did a lot of work at the farms, as all of us did, Joey and Steph and Peter Ford as well. We spent a lot of time at the farms, and the good thing about doing that is that you get to follow them up and see how their constitution is and how they handle the sale process. And this colt just stepped out and just won us straight away. The way he marched out and dropped his head and had a really big step, and he really flows. So the angle across from his sort of where are you going there, Corey?
Yeah, I went back. It's a little bit slow with the clip, so my apologies.
So he really flows along very, very well, and that's typical of a good horse that has that flow that you look for. And much like Daily Bugle last year, he has that very to be in very much a hurry, so he doesn't waste any time, and that's a sign of a good horse that's covering the ground quite quickly. So we followed him up, and every time we brought him out of the box in Melbourne at the sales, he was exactly the same. He continued to impress us and improve each time. And the underbidder on him there was Alan Bell with the Hawks team. So they're used to winning Group 1 races, as they did Friday night again. So we weren't going to let them outbid us. So we continued to bid, and he was always coming home. As we say jokingly, he had the 3977 postcode on him. So he was always going to come home to Cranbourne. And he's out of the family of Alpha, which my brother won the guineas on him for Bart Cummings. When you scroll down the page, you'll see him down there. That second dam's assisted to Alpha if you look down there. So he's from a Group 1 family. He's by the champ that won 10 Group 1. So he's a fantastic horse. So anyone that's got the money to buy him, he's a must buy, really.
And I've tried to get the clip going, but for some reason the internet's a little bit slow. So
there
you
go,
see that
Corey.
there? Yep. There we go. So we'll pop back out.
That's a bit slow, the way that loads up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit slow. So I do apologise, guys. I'll come back down here to Griffiths de Kock. Now, obviously he's a proven sire. But what you would say this year is the first season sires are absolutely flying, and we wanted to get ahead of the game to be with some of the first season sires for next season. And so if you could touch on Pariah for me, because we bought 3 Pariahs, and
Yeah,
Pariah
jump on her there, 203. You're on her there.
203. Yep.
There she
All right.
is.
Click on this
Yeah,
one.
203. She was the first pariah.
Might take a
Does that
little
work?
bit to load, but I might just bring up the photo there, Robbie.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good, yeah, that's probably just leave that there if it's not loading. Well, she's another one, you know, she's a great example there. Once again, Matt and I, we fell in love with her at the farm, and Darren Dancer's farm, Manning Tree Park, which you'll see on a brand there, MTP, that's Esker Lodge, and they're a boutique farm, and they're really good at what they do. And once again, we don't leave anything to chance. Darren's really good at doing the bloodlines and matings. They won the English Dash earlier in the year with a filly there, and only a 3rd start. The beautiful Franco filly won during the week on debut. This filly's half brother won by 5 lengths on debut. So, you know, they're really good at what they're doing. And this filly's a classic filly. She's out of a O'Reilly mare. The best horse in the family is a Group 1 winning miler that stretched out the 1.5 miles. When Matt and I left the farm, we said, this is the one we want to buy. This was weeks before the sale, and we followed her up and bought her. We were always going to buy her. And the owners that bred her are very smart. They've bought straight back in. So they've only, in effect, sold half, which was really shrewd, because they want to, you know, be first in line to retain her when after her successful career as a dual purpose to be a broodmare later on. Actually, Shrani was the first person to buy a share in her because she's very attractive. She's an elegant filly with a great walk, and Matt and I were very, very impressed with the pariah stock, hence the reason we purchased 3. And the 3 horses that we purchased, we all loved at the farm, which was her, the We Bet You colt that we tried to buy last August, and the pariah filly from Tarcoola. So they've all got the same theme, but there's nothing left to chance here. You know, this filly's intentionally mated. A lot of thoughts gone into the breeding. As I said, Darren Dancer's a boutique farm with Esker Lodge up there. They've done a great job. The owners have stayed in for half. So I don't know if there's a lot of shares in her. I don't know. That's your department, Corey. But
No,
she's a
not too
top
much.
quality filly out of an O'Reilly mare. So there's a lot to like about her. So it's the same theme as the as some of the other ones that we've purchased. There's no luck involved. It's all designed about leaving nothing to chance there.
Yeah, and obviously we purchased 3 pariahs. So there was a filly out of Whirlpool, which is the same family as our So You Think colt. And also,
yeah, same deal there. Yep.
Yeah, and also the pariah colt out of We Betcha from Springmount's draft. So same thing across the board. Joey, you saw all of these guys at the sales, and you love the pariahs. What were your thoughts on all 3 of those?
I thought they were very much the type, and I thought they were very exciting, really exciting. I can see why Matt and Robbie thought he was so big for them, and I should be looking forward to them. Wouldn't say which one I'd have a favourite for, because they were very much similar types. As I said before, without repeating myself, I just like them. They're very, very athletic, and the sort of horse I'd love to have trained.
Yeah, and Matt, I guess the thing with pariah is coming up at the Easter sale, it will be the last chance anyone ever gets to get a Reduced Choice, any horse by Reduced Choice, because obviously Reduced Choice sadly passed away. Pariah has been earmarked as the next coming of Reduced Choice. So I guess, you know, how do you feel about Pariah? Obviously we like him, but how do you feel about the idea of him taking over from Reduced Choice, and what an opportunity that provides for trainers like yourselves or for owners?
Yeah, well, he's got big shoes to fill, and he's got a long time to do it still. But the thing is, we tried really hard on a few pariahs at the Gold Coast, and we were really in love with them. And because the Gold Coast was so competitive, we battled to get them, and that's why we went out and bought 3 here. You can't, you know, that old saying is you can't get too much of a good thing. So like Joey said, we'll be really excited to put the saddle on. And when you wake up in the morning, you want to train a horse that you love, and the pariahs we really do love.
Yeah, and I guess, Robbie, back to yourself with the first season sires, Spieth. So we had a bit of a chat about this girl, and she was a great type, but I guess Spieth it's an aqua stallion, and it's from Queensland, so a little bit similar to Spirit of Boom. When Spirit of Boom first became a sire, I guess it was a little bit less commercial, and then boomed, pardon the pun, but you thought that Spieth might be the next sort of sire to follow that path and go fly under the radar a little bit, and you absolutely love this filly, and I might click on that one.
Yeah, well, she's unbelievably good value. Matt and I couldn't believe what a value she was when you look at the international family that she's got, which the boys can probably talk about, so much can elaborate on. But Spieth was a very fast horse, son of Thorne Park. Thorne Park was a great chestnut Stradbroke winner. Spieth was a terrific chestnut speed horse. Thorne Park's done a great job producing Ocean Park, who's an outstanding stallion standing in New Zealand. This filly's a half out of a half tour. It's a Group 1 family. And Carry On Katie's won a terrific Group 1 race in Europe. So it's a great family. More importantly, it's a fillies family, with Carry On Katie being Fazley of filly winning a Group 1 in international. So there's some really good bloodlines here with Ravens Pass, Woodman, Sadler's Wells. These are serious bloodlines, and to get that sort of family for the price that Matt and I secured her at with Vobis and everything, I mean, it's just incredible, really. So I think someone's going to look back one day and wonder how the hell we did it, really.
Yeah, I must admit,
just to butt in there quickly. Carry On Katie won Premier 2-year-old race probably in Europe, the Cheveley Park, and to get that filly for that sort of value and that sort of money was quite remarkable. And this very much looks like a really good, sharp 2-year-old type.
Yeah, I also
what would a filly like that be in Europe, Joey? I mean, that sort of bloodlines in Europe would be astronomical money, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah, totally.
And Matt, I did a bit of research on Spieth, watched some of his races. He lost by less than a length in the Lightning and the Derby Classic Group 1s. So although he wasn't a Group 1 horse, he was certainly a Group 1 winning horse. He certainly was fairly unlucky not to have that title.
He should have won the Derby. It was an unbelievable run. He should have won that Derby. He was so unlucky in that race.
So yeah, I mean that's one that I guess the market, maybe our ownership group maybe doesn't know that stallion as well. So I thought it was a good one to bring up, and I think that horse at the sales.
One thing, sorry to butt in, Corey, but people must realise if you win a Super Vobis maiden, you do get 32,000 to the winner. What was it called? The hammer price, 30,000.
30,000, yeah. So, and I mean. And a couple of people have asked me, why was she so cheap? And I have to always explain that we don't bid. So nobody bids on any horses unless Joey, yourself, Matt, Peter, all agree. And you look at all of these horses multiple times. So, there's never a horse that you don't love. So there's not a single one that has been purchased here or the Gold Coast that the guys haven't loved. So this one could be one out of the box that surprises everyone, and we believe could be an early 2-year-old, like Joey said, but a Group 2-year-old hopefully. The next one, which is quite interesting.
Everyone put in the footwork and the miles, and so we saw every horse just about, or one or two. And it was a question of Matt, Robbie, and Fordy just being in the right place at the right time for this filly when she came up. Remarkable value.
I'll let the boys talk about the next one, Corey, because he's got a great international family as well. But I felt sorry for this man leading him, because this horse walked so much. He was getting tired, our strapper here, wasn't he? This poor man. Because this Sabu colt could really walk.
I did a bit of research on Sabu, Robbie, so I'll let the boys talk about the dam page. So obviously, son of Snitzel, $1.5 million yearling. He has reduced blood, precocious speed, but more importantly, he won all of his races over short distances, and then he's had 5 winners from his first 11 runners on the track as a sire, which is elite. That's up there. That's up there with his father, and that's up there with any of the great sires. So it's a great start. And then if we roll down to the pedigree, it's speed on speed. So Matt, over to you there if you wanted to expand on the first dam.
Yeah, well, why this is probably more significant to me is that this is one of Sheikh Mohammed bin Khalifa's old mares, Sogar, and we trained Mabuba in South Africa. As you can see, she was champion 3-year-old filly there, and she proved that that was no fluke and went on to win a few races in Dubai as well. So she was a really talented filly, being by Galileo. She saw at a trip. You can see she won over 2,400 meters as well as 1,200, and the family's produced multiple stakes winners. So it's a really strong family, and this also was equal out from the beginning. He impressed us. We were really happy with him, and as you've said, Sabug is a new boom stallion. So I really think that for anyone out there that's looking to invest, this is a really safe bet. Sabug out of a fantastic family, a great looking horse. This is a real safe bet.
And Sabug stands at Kitchwin Hills, and Kitchwin Hills often, Robbie, let the horses do the talking, and I guess don't probably promote or market as heavily as some of the other studs, but their track record's incredible.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, big track record. And Sabug was touted very early by other people, as you say. Kitchwin Hills they let the horses do the talking. They don't really, pump up the tyres too much. But there was a lot of breeders saying, look at the Sabug weanlings, and yearlings. They're outstanding looking horses. And then they've hit the track with these unbelievable stats, which is no surprise. So this horse, as Matt and Joey have pointed out, has really fit that mould. He just marched out of the box, and the poor man leading him was very tired by the end of the week, because he just continued to march out, and he's from a great family. With the speed of Sabug, with the success of the family, was he's a very safe bet, as Matt pointed out.
And he really sort of, as you can see there, I'll let you talk there, Joey, but you could almost saddle him as he first came out of the box on day one of the inspections.
Yeah, but he didn't, as Robbie says, he didn't let up throughout the week. And he certainly, if anything, he put on weight throughout the week rather than lost any. And he was as impressive a horse, if not more, going into the ring. He was, as I said, at the beginning of the week, which you couldn't say that about too many yearlings.
He's got 2 lots of eligibility there too, Corey. He's got Vobis and Bobs, so it's going to be very, very easy for him to win, to get revenue, and he won't take much to win back his money.
Yeah, and we might wrap up there, Robbie, but that's probably something to also be mindful of. Something I noticed just recently with the fillies, the 3 fillies in the black type race, which you'd planned, thinking that maybe there wouldn't be as many runners in that race. And it's probably something worth mentioning now while we're on the topic of prize money, is your record with Vobis prize money is incredible, the best in Victoria for a long time. And also the ability, what I've noticed since I've been at the stable, is not only are you looking to get winners for your owners, you're also looking to make sure that they get residual value at the end of the racing career for their horses, and try and get as much prize money as practically possible for the owners at all stages, whether that means winning a race or not. You're happy to sacrifice your percentage, your win percentage, to make sure the owners recoup as much money as they can and make as much money as they can.
Yeah, well, we've had, Selenia was, you talk about cheap fillies, she was not a single doubt. There was $30,000 that Peter and I bought at Sydney Easter sales on an average of 300,000 that year. And she was a successful racehorse and then sold for just under 600,000. And, so, you need to, Fidelia was 120 and sold for privately for 450 or something to that effect, and won similar prize money. And Nadeem Lass, and there's a whole list of them, Single Note and so on, and the list goes on and on and on. So we've had so many successful fillies that we've paid medium money for that have gone on and sold on to be good brood mares, and had a really positive return for their ownership group. And that's a big thing what we try to do when we're looking at our inspections. So when Peter and Joey and Matt and I and the whole team are going around, and when you look at these fillies, these pariah fillies that we mentioned at a Mumboli there, the O'Reilly filly and the other pariah filly and so on, it'll be no fluke, no shock when these fillies are sold at a good profit, So the Redoutes filly from the Gold Coast, the average was 450,000 and we paid 225. So these are the sort of good investments that we tried to do, so that down the track, people are telling us how good of purchases that we made. We bought Nuclear 4 years ago, and, for 430,000, everyone said we paid too much, but her first foal did go to stud at $2 million. So, her first foal has sold for for a lot of money. So when you see those sort of investments, they are investments because they can have really good return. So when you try to buy horses that have good returns, whether it be through super Vobis revenue or dual purpose with fillies, I think it's all part of the package that we try to provide for our ownership group. It's good that you noticed it, Corey, and it's something that we try very hard to do.
Yeah, and I think, I guess it's something that as owners, and previously as purely an owner for myself, you do look at race records and things like that. But I guess, nobody really asks that question. But ultimately, as an owner, you always want your horse to have some value at the end of its race career. And I know that it's something that not everyone looks at across the board. And I would say that that's something that I've noticed that you and Matthew both speak heavily about when you might think that a horse is at a certain level, and okay, how can we get the best for our owners, which is really important. And I've just launched another poll there. Joey, your down to earth nature won the first poll. So being in a boy band was a close second, but your down to earth nature in the boys band is what's won over the fans. So congratulations there.
I'm just putting it down to the personality bit due to the paucity of your questions, Corey. That bit didn't shine out on me.
Okay. Now, what we're going to show you next, guys, is if all of those that have been following the webinars for a while would have seen that we put together the first month of Matt and Robbie's partnership and all their winners. And I thought, look, we haven't done a follow-up since, and we've had some nice winners at the stable, including the Bugle a couple of times, and of course, many others. So let's have a watch here, starting with one of my favorite horses in La Pietra, which is another ATB horse. But we'll have a look here. So rolling.
Vespertine digs in now at the 100 metres, gets its nose in front again. La Pietra's fighting back. Vespertine and La Pietra. It's a bitter battle. La Pietra. And Turak Warrior down by the 200 takes a clear lead now from 100% Marmelin. Turak Warrior in front. 100% is coming back. But Turak Warrior found the easiest race he's seen for a long, long time. And he wins it by 3/4 on the line, 100%.
Here's Righteous Mischief now starting to let down on the quick backup and quickly got to them. Righteous Mischief goes up, takes the lead and starts to come away hands and heels for a nice win.
Hasseltoff has nicked off. Hasseltoff has raced away 3 or 4 lengths in front, and it's Jamie Carr again. Hasseltoff won it well from Vibrant Glider.
But River Dance Ladder's clear with 50 metres left to go. Lord Almighty starting to charge down the outside fence. River Dance led though.
Rutherford's coming at the lot on the outside. Rutherford's the one. Rutherford moved up to lay-by. Rutherford put his head in front of lay-by, and Rutherford has got lay-by. away. Something Foxy, Rodden Todd, Turak Warrior, they all won't go away. Then Cole's Hero, Swingworth Junior on the fence, collared by Turak Warrior out in the middle. Who's going home the better? Turak Warrior in the last top weight wins.
King Magnus going up with Just a Dreamer. Sunday Prey third, and then comes Translator. King Magnus up on the outside, getting the upper hand from Translator late. King Magnus.
High done at the 150, a length in front. Lord Lennox bearing down on him on the outside. Then Snake Cavern, High done in for the fight. Lord Lennox kicks on turns. High done kicks. Lord Lennox dives. Lord Lennox got him.
Daily Bugle moves up alongside of Tremontana. Tremontana in front. Daily Bugle's on level terms, takes the lead. Daily Bugle is racing away the last little bit and won it by a length.
But Russian Buy still going strongly. Russian Buy in front by 2.5 lengths. An unassailable lead in the straight, and Russian Buy. Nice win, 2 lengths.
Irish Pardon took the lead. Beast and Lad trying hard to keep on coming. Irish Pardon, though, is the leader. And after a frustrating run of minor placings, Irish Pardon breaks the duck.
Osbred Law goes to third. It's Northern Rain and also a Whaler. Northern Rain gets its head in front, wants to lay in on the line. Trigvy's trying to range, now working home quite well. 3 of them across the track. Trigvy deep, going up to Quality Diamond. Trigvy goes on to score by a neck. Did it quite well and easily late as they come down to the 100 metres. Mysterious Art still finds on the fence. Mysterious Art, it's going to be its day today. A breakthrough win for Mysterious Art.
Yosemite in front. She leads the way. Montilla's flashing down the outside. It's still in front. Yosemite in a driving finish, and she'll just win.
Stravane going up to Fast and Deep. Stravane going now to it. Fast and Deep tries to rally. Stravane first up from a break's going to get a nice win. Goes on to score by a head.
Daily Bugle trying hard. Micro finding. Algaron running on. It's Micro joined again on the outside by Daily Bugle. The son of Press Statement takes the lead, and Daily Bugle's coming away. Daily Bugle won it.
Quality Diamond and the Running Man. The Running Man, the outside, takes over now, getting away from Quality Diamond. I Love Annie late, but the Running Man wins.
And that's it, guys. Could you hear the commentary then, guys?
Yep.
You could? Yeah. I couldn't work out. I didn't want to stop it in between. So that's it. So as you can see, guys, plenty of winners coming our way, and there's a few coming up probably on Wednesday, I'd say as well, if all goes to plan, Matt.
Yeah, sorry, are you doing me?
Yeah, on Wednesday we should have a few more to add to that, I think.
Yeah, we got a couple of nice runners on Wednesday. Yosemite lines up. Otis, they'll have some real chances. The Long Star, he's a nice young filly. And we'll have a couple of runners on Saturday, hopefully as well, with a couple in the 2-year-old feature on Saturday, and maybe Token Spirit. So it's a good week of runners for us.
Yeah, and I do apologise for the clips being a bit slow. I'm not sure what's going on there. It might be the change of laptop. All right, I might go through a few questions now before we get into the last little bit to wrap up. But Craig Miguel says, where will Joey be based, and will he be a regular at the stable? So I guess, Robbie, I'll ask you first, and then ask Robbie, then ask Joey, obviously.
Well, hoping that Joey's going to be a regular at the stable, but because Joey's just moved into Australia and has a young family with Ruby, that'll just depend on sort of relocation with Steph. So that's in discussion at the moment. So we're hoping to see Joey more around the stable, put it that way.
And Joey?
Yeah, well, it's a bit more sorted now, and very much looking forward to getting down there far more often.
Yeah, and I
But
think
at the moment we're up in country Victoria. My poor mother-in-law. Anyway, he's very, very, very generous. Been putting up with us all. Anyway, I'm sure she'll be pleased to get us out of her hair.
I think I speak on behalf of everyone at the stable. We'd like to see a lot more of you there. So, and then Robbie, here's another question for you. Patrick Sylvie says, what's the significance of the purchaser being 3 connections? So where it says Griffiths de Kock Racing, Peter Ford Bloodstock, and Haywood Bloodstock, what's the significance of that?
That is just to show everyone the clarity of what we're talking about on the webinar here, because people need to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So Matt and I are out there looking at horses and purchasing. So everyone on the webinar knows that Peter's walking around doing his work, as is Joey and Steph. that on the internet proves that that organisation is that. So, you know, Peter Ford is there, Haywood is Joey and Steph. So that is confirmation of the organisation that we've put together. So those that don't know can read that and see, oh, okay, that's the organisation that's the buying group that's doing the selection process. I hope that makes sense, Pat.
Yep. And another question from Patrick Sylvie, which Matt, you'd be able to answer, is have all the purchased yearlings arrived and been placed at agistment farms?
Yeah, so basically, as soon as they are bought at the sales, we make a decision on where they're going to spend the next couple of months. Normally, the process is they spend a couple of months in the paddock, just having a rest, because that sales prep is really difficult on them. And then, like some of the ones from the Gold Coast have already started their breaking in process, but the English ones are still just having an easy time after the sales.
Yeah, and I did have a question that came through asking of what was left, and we went through obviously a lot of different lots there, 15 lots. So from the Inglis Premier sale, we have a little bit left in the So You Think out of Alas, the colt. We have a little bit left in the Russian Revolution filly out of Magnesium. We have a tiny bit left in the Pariah out of Mum Bailey filly. Out of nowhere, the Written Tycoon colt out of Royal Myth was fully sold. We had one client drop out, so there's actually 20% that's become available in that colt. So that's one that will be snapped up pretty quickly. We haven't promoted that again for obvious reasons. He'll sell himself. We also have a little bit in both of the colts, the Pariah out of We Betcha and the So You Think out of Explosive Cross. And then we have small pieces in the Spieth filly and the Sabood colt that we spoke about, and a really small the Pariah filly out of Whirlpool. I think it says here that there's a little bit left, but I'm not sure that's true. I think if there is some left in that, it's not much at all. And there's a tiny bit left in the Cable Bay out of Canterbury Hill filly. So I would say if you like any, then definitely contact us as soon as you can. And even if you just want to ask a question or anything like that, or you're mulling over it, we're more than happy to answer questions. So always feel free to ask. And obviously we've still got one or two, Robbie, I think we've got tiny bits in from the Gold Coast. Was that from memory?
Oh, you're better at that
That's
than
my
me.
department, but I haven't got, yeah.
Does it pay to, even if, does it pay for people to have an expression of interest just in case somebody, you know, has to cancel for some reason, like you mentioned about that Written Tycoon?
Yeah,
Does it pay for people to just express interest, even if one's sold, you know?
Yeah, if there's anyone that would like any of the horses that are already sold, then still email me, because then, for example, I think there's about 7 horses that we had fully sold, but obviously we then put it up as sold. So if there's any that are sold that you would like to be on a short list in case somebody dropped out of them, then always let us know, because not only can we, let you know if somebody drops out, but we can also then look for horses similar to that at future sales that might be of your liking. I've also launched a poll there, so if you're interested in anything there, then feel free to fill in the poll. We've got there, would you like us to contact you about potentially purchasing? I've got 38% of people are saying yes, so I'll go through that and try and contact you guys afterwards, and I thank everyone for filling that in. A stable update. So recent runners of note, we mentioned the Daily Bugle there, but Matt, any other runners recently that have impressed you that maybe weren't in our winners list?
Oh, that weren't in the winners list.
Watched all the winners, so that was easy to see.
Well, yeah. I mean, the obvious one that was in the winners list was Travaine, because she's come back from a long spell. But maybe Token Spirit, he's run at the Valley a week on Friday ago, on All-Star Mile Day. It was a fantastic run. It was over a distance too short. His first time as a gelding in soft going, which he doesn't really like. He still managed to run some great sectionals, and I think we're going to have a nice season with him. We heading towards the South Australian Derby with him, so very exciting.
Yeah, and I guess the next question there is upcoming runners. So you gave a tip, Matt, to the Mulgrave Footy Club at the Golf Day, which you also happened to win. A bit of a golf shark there, but now that you're the main man, the main tipster at the stable, I thought you might be able to throw an upcoming tip out to our audience.
Sure, Corey. Lightning doesn't strike twice. I think I got lucky the first time. Yeah, I would say a horse like Yosemite on Wednesday, we'll be really confident of her backing up and running well. She's a smart filly, and I think she'll be a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, and Robbie, we've spoken a lot about tried horses. Obviously, we've got so many awesome youngsters in the stable, and we did try to get one last week, and we're looking at all the time for tried horses. And there's a few opportunities that we're working on. If you wanted to mention how that might work for potential owners in the future, and why, if they got in touch with us, if there's horses that you might like overseas, or people do their own research, they can always let us know, can't they? And we'd always at least look at what they're looking at.
Yeah, definitely, because Matt and I were bidding on a tried horse the other day that Annabelle Nisham went to 340, and Matt and I were at the Sandown races bidding online to, was it 335? So we were under bidder. He was a good colt, well, just been gelded, but he was group placed. But we're looking at some in New Zealand, negotiating there. Haven't been able to secure that one. We'd like to look in Europe before they get too dear. I must say our New Zealand purchases are going extremely well for those owners. They haven't stepped out in Australia yet, but they're going very well, the way one of them trialled this morning. Some of the horses you've seen race and win recently have been sold, so you might see them leave the stable because we're making room for the young ones and upgrading all of our owners. So even though they're last start winners, we feel as though they've reached their mark in Victorian racing. So that's a big part of the restructure. So the best way for everyone to do it is pretty much drop an email or a phone call to any of us, in particular you, Corey, because you're collating all of that. And expressions of interest and values is going to make life easier for Matt and I to then put the necessary calls into the necessary people in whichever part of the world that we're shopping. And then that way we can buy the right horses. We knocked back a horse in South America because we thought it was a bit too dear. So we're looking all over the world to make sure that we get the right horses for our ownership group. It's all about succeeding, and that's what we're doing. And just changing subject back to Friday, was there any all-up betting on the TAB, Matt de Kock winning the golf into the Bugle at $6? What did that pay?
I think it was a non-race because they were questioning Matt's handicap. So
like father, like son.
With the New Zealand connection there, Matt, the next one there is I've written lease filly from New Zealand. I know you were speaking to me on the weekend. There might be an opportunity to pick up a horse there on a lease, and I thought that was a good chance for you to maybe mention how that might work. And once again, if people are interested in something like that, if they can let us know, then it just gives us a lot better idea of what our owners and clients would like. And we obviously want to support our owners and clients. So that's what it's all about. We want to win races and we want to have them involved in that.
Yeah, well, Corey, with the whole new structure of Griffiths de Kock Racing, we've really put emphasis on creating relationships this year. And unfortunately, we haven't been able to get over to New Zealand because of COVID, but Donovan Mansour, Monique's my partner, her brother, he's on the ground there. He helped us pick the Sebring and the Reliable Man filly. So he's an ex-jockey. He's grown up with horses. He's got a great eye for horses. And he's got a good contact there that is wanting to build a relationship with us. And they're offering us a very well-bred filly out of a Group 1 winner. So we'll have more details on the filly. We're just awaiting some videos and stuff, but it's something that we're really interested in a lease agreement with the stud farm. So we'll take over the filly for the racing career, and then when she's done, hopefully she's had a successful one, she can just head back to New Zealand and head back to the farm. But it's a good opportunity for anyone that doesn't want to, you know, put down the money for owning a horse, but is willing to have a horse that's ready to go and broken in and willing to pay the month-to-month expenses for a ready-to-go racehorse.
Yeah, it's a unique opportunity, and it's not an opportunity that's afforded to every stable. So it's certainly something to get on board with. But of course, some people would prefer to own the horse themselves and keep the horse after racing, and others would like a lease. So we just would like to know who's interested, because then we can that gives Matt a ballpark to go back and speak to them and negotiate a deal. And just on stud farms, new stallions and industry news. Gaiath, Robbie, this is probably one for yourself, but Gaiath coming to Australia, Fierce Impact retiring to stud, Russian Camelot retiring to stud. I read yesterday that Wootton Bassett's coming to Australia. There's going to be no shortage of good horses coming through that people can buy with us in the future.
Absolutely, and I think that it's exciting to have so many, new stallions to Australian breeding barn, and exciting stallions that are doing the job in other parts of the world. So I think it's fantastic. I think that no different to what we've done this year in investing in young stallions. I think it gives ownership groups the opportunity to look at new bloodlines and or untried bloodlines that might be the next greatest stallions. So no, I think it's fantastic. It's certainly going to be it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and Joey, it probably rubber stamps the fact that Australian racing worldwide now is looked upon as a leader, and not just an up and comer anymore. It's really the place to be in terms of prize money. What are your thoughts on the future of Australian racing going forward?
Well, just a couple of main things, really. I think, obviously, very clever the way Robbie and Matt focus on the bogus prize money and the scheme itself. That's quite a remarkable scheme with huge rewards, and there aren't two better exponents of seeing the best of that scheme. And the second is, you've only got to look at Coolwater's vigorous involvement at the recent two sales to say how good Australian racing is, how strong it is, and what a superb market it is to start to be into. And I'm not saying that they're de-investing in Europe, far from it, but it's interesting that they've gone into Australia in such a huge way in the year 2021.
And I guess you've been around Australian racing now for many years, and you've chosen to work, you've had lots of offers, and you've chosen to work with Robbie and Matt. If you were an owner, why would you join this stable?
I think I wouldn't. I'd definitely join it, because I think it's an extremely exciting opportunity. Just talking about Dubai, Australia, anywhere else in the world, I've never come across something that is so well connected through so many people, and with a vision of working together, advancing and just improving stock and the stable. I've not seen anything this exciting for a long time.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree there, but obviously, it does sound better coming from yourself with all your experience than myself, who's obviously being paid by Robbie. So I think it's always best to coming through, and you're not the only person. We'd had that when we were on the Gold Coast and we had our massive team and we went around. What struck me is when I did a little clip where I asked pretty much the who's who of the stud farms, to say something about Griffiths de Kock racing, and with no effort at all, I got some incredible answers and put that clip together. And I thought that maybe I'd have to go and ask people, hey, could you please do this or please do that? And they were just so forthcoming. And like you said, Tom Magnier from Coolmore was one of those people. And some of those big studs are now starting to follow the stable, contact us to see if they can send horses to us, contact us to see if they can, do some deals with us, contact us to say, come visit the farm, would you like to buy some horses from the paddock, and things that probably don't happen unless you're having success. So it really is exciting to be a part of, and we might wrap up tonight's webinar there. We've got another one coming up every month.
Well, just one last thing. I think Robbie's vision is one of the things I found so exciting. He really is just a ball of energy, and his vision for the stable and for the future is something I've not come across. I was probably a little bit tired leaving South Africa, but he's put some life back into me, and it certainly got me excited about racing again. And I wasn't quite sure that was possible.
Thanks, Joey. Thank you.
And that's, everyone you speak to says the same thing. So I guess those winners are just the tip of the iceberg. They're going to keep coming, but we might wrap up there, guys. It's now 8:10. We thank all the viewers for coming on. Without them, there's no point putting on a webinar if we don't have the viewers, and I'm glad that you guys have enjoyed it. I actually have a couple of questions here. Sorry, I'll just say, when are the yearlings, so this one for Robbie, when are the yearlings purchased from this year looking to get on the racetrack? That's Will Setterino.
Oh, it's a bit of a tricky question, Will, because they're all different pedigrees. Some are classic, some are speed. It very much depends on how they grow out. I know that's a bit of a sort of an open answer, but Matt and I will assess that as they go, because we have brought a wide cross section of pedigrees that some are speed horses and some are classic. So we will let the horses answer that. Unfortunately, that doesn't really zone in on your answer, but that's sort of basically how it is.
Yeah, and Craig Miguel doesn't have a question, it's more of a comment, but he says, no further questions, Your Honour. I just want to say, get on Griffiths de Kock Racing for the future. You lads appear to have a great vision moving forward. Keep up the good work. So we thank you for that, Craig. That's a nice comment to end the show with. So Joey, I guess, thank you very much for giving up your time to be on here. I've personally found it extremely interesting, and I know that you'll undersell yourself once again, but the viewers would have found your story incredible as well. So thank you very much for coming on. And Matthew and Robbie, cheers again, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Cheers, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, Joey. See you guys. See you, everyone.
Guys,
Good night.
thank you.